serious. I think that's a good idea.
Just talking? Well, what's the show about?
It's about nothing.
No story?
No, forget the story.
You gotta have a story.
Who says you gotta have a story?
Some men aren't looking for anything logical, like money. Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Instead, only try to realize the truth. There is no spoon.
There is no spoon.
I'll tell you what it's worth. Not a damn thing. It's a waste of time.
Welcome to Frivolous Fandom with Mike and Kev. I'm Mike.
This your boy Kev.
And
What's good? I'm Ethan. I'll be joining you for the day or night, whatever.
The day of the night, Ethan is here. So today we're going to take a little excursion into the land of the Boondocks.
Boondocks.
a wild and untamed place.
Not the Saints, just the regular ones. No Saints.
I see what you did there.
There ain't no saints.
That was
in
very
Boondocks.
overt. That wasn't very clever. But
But it kind of begged to be done.
it's begged to be done, and it's a good time actually for this cast because the show is returning for the 4th season.
A glorious return.
Well, hopefully. We'll get into that in just a bit here. So it's coming back either next week or maybe the week after. But
Don't quote us.
my man Ethan is a huge Boondocks fan. He got me into it recently. I've known about it since it came out, but I didn't ever really watch it. And so I only realized the greatness in the past couple weeks since I've actually been watching episode after episode and sort of getting a feel for the characters and their style of commentary and stuff. But yeah, my man Ethan got me into it, so he's the one that actually let us know they're coming out with new episodes again. So we figured he'd be the prime guest to join us this evening.
Oh yeah.
Shit, I'll take it.
Yep.
Love that damn show. Everybody needs to watch it. Too.
Well,
I'm sure you already have, but fuck.
Well, that's the humor. I had already previously been introduced to this series in high school, and then when it took its hiatus, I kind of put it on the shelf. And randomly, a couple weeks ago, they're like, "Yo, the Boondocks." I'm like, "No way!"
Why not?
Yo, I love that show.
Right. I don't know if it's on reruns that much anymore.
It's not. It's a Netflix kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. At this point, they only have the first season. Unfortunately, there's 3 seasons though for your enjoyment if you haven't already seen them. Granted, it's been what was the most recent season? Well, probably 2010, 2008 maybe.
I think it was 2010. I don't know.
So it's been a good while since they've had new episodes.
No, it's we graduated in 2010, and that was distinctly...
Who calls it 010, Mike?
Apparently me. But,
I guess it's okay if it's 20,
right,
2010 shit.
But that's the
we call it we graduated 10.
we graduated 10.
We graduated 10.
Rode up the Great Depression, we did.
We had to sweep every chimney to buy 1 pint of beans. Anyways.
Wait, they come in pints?
I don't know what you buy in. An ounce, 12 ounces, 8 ounces. Is that messed up that I don't know? Does that mean I'm a little bougie? I'm all bougie right now because I don't know. You never scrape by for beans in your life. It's true.
Nah, we were all about that Pop-Tarts.
Right, no, I grew up on a strictly Pop-Tart diet, okay?
I had ramen every once in a while.
Right. Little ramen.
Maybe a Tiger's Milk protein bar before a flag football game.
Sometimes I would eat my mother's cooking. Every day or so I'd probably eat her cooking. So I'm exaggerating a lot here. But yeah, so it's been a while. Let's cover a little bit about what we like about the show. Actually, Ethan, did you have anything else you want to say? Introduce yourself at all?
I ain't got anything else important to say right now.
Okay. Well, you got plenty more important to say, but
he's
a selfless dude. He's all about the
He's
show.
deep with layers. He's like an onion ogre with layers.
You gotta peel them back, and we'll
gotta
peel
peel back the ogre first. And get the onion. I don't know how it works, but that's what I am.
We will get there.
It goes ogre on the outside. You get a layer in. You find some onions. You get one more layer inside of that. You find parfaits.
And then there's another ogre. We're not sure.
We're gonna find that parfait layer right before we get back to ogre. Okay.
Parfait, yeah.
We're getting there. So we'll talk a little bit about what we like about the show. I think first of all, it goes without saying, the characters of the show are, like,
they're
really
hilarious.
memorable. They all sort of play off a trope. Like, they all sort of embody a trope. So, like, Riley, for instance, he's the younger brother, and he's heavily influenced by, like, pop culture and BET television and MTV and stuff like that.
Like, any hooligan in any... Like, because, every, like, mainstream demonstration of youth, you have that one, like, kid who totally hip and jive with the flow, yo. That's this kid, except he's actually, like...
Except a lot more vulgar.
He actually he knows the lingo.
I don't think kids on the street say, yeah, I'm fly with that jug, yo.
Cut me some slack, Jack.
Yeah, you're right. What are we, Airplane? Quoting Airplane?
But yeah, so he's the kid
This
who...
kid's just real 70s. That's what we're trying to say right now.
But it's quite the opposite. So this kid literally is, he's powered, he's screw the man, but not necessarily for any logical reason. It's just because it's what's cool right now.
Well, and he wants to get his own, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's, I was going to
Squirrel
say.
trying to get his nut, fool. That's all it is.
He's like that little guy from Ice Age. What's his name? Squirrel trying to get his nut. He's not a squirrel. He's probably some prehistoric.
Saber-toothed squirrel.
right. And he's going for that acorn. No, but it's true. Yeah, the biggest thing with Riley is he's kind of brought up into that hustler mentality where he like idolizes the rappers. He idolizes like Exhibit and people like that, and so he's all about his hustle. And every episode, just about, he finds a way to like make money off whatever it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's his
So,
whole...
like,
yeah.
right, yeah. It's like when Granddad was gonna fight the blind hobo.
Oh, he's taking bets.
Yeah, he's taking bets. Like, he's always trying to make his money. And he's always scheming too.
Absolutely no ethics.
Yeah, no ethics, just all about getting his. But he's also, oh man, I'm trying to say, like, every show I feel like has kind of a straight laced, and then they have the zany one.
He's the same as
He's definitely the zany. Like, he's not overly zany per se.
The thing is, though,
he's ridiculous.
He's not, like, he doesn't actually have a backbone, though. That's what's funny about it, is you push him too hard, and he'll cave.
Yeah, right.
Like
He's not as strong-headed as Huey is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he'll fly off the handle, but you really don't got to do much to, like, make him back off. You just got to, like, put your foot
Whoop
down.
his ass.
Really just, like, like, stand up.
It. Huey always just beats the hell out of him.
Straight up.
Just to straighten him out, like, he deserves it. But Granddad he might not deserve it as much usually when Granddad starts whooping him. So yeah, so that's Riley though. Then you got the older brother, Huey.
Huey is that, like, he's a little bit of Lupe Fiasco.
Yeah.
He's a little bit of Malcolm X.
Definitely.
He's a little bit of a John Lennon, all rolled up into one package with some Bushido.
Yeah,
Really,
right,
like-
right. Yeah, he's a martial arts master, and I take it more so like it's because of his intelligence. Like,
Yeah,
that's why
he's just really gifted. Like, he's good at everything. You're
Like,
right.
in a way, he's too smart for his own good, because when other situations where everybody else is, like, having a good time, he's, like, brooding off in the corner, like, what is the meaning of life anyways? I mean, this is all, you people are all just, like, beneath you right now.
Right, he's repeatedly seen, just about, most of the episodes have at least a part with him standing at that tree that overlooks the...
Just thinking.
just like kind of mulling things over. And it's like, I mean, it's playing off that samurai trope, like the wandering samurai, kind of in a way, where he's just kind of looking down on things or reflecting.
The warrior poet.
But, I mean, honestly, though, Huey is sort of a cipher for Aaron McGruder, the writer of the show.
Yep.
He pretty much is his avenue to spout what he thinks about
Listen,
things in a way.
You guys had a really good parallel, actually, to another
To
character.
Brian.
Brian.
Yeah. I mean, he's a lot better of a character than Brian is, but the same effect where Brian is Seth MacFarlane's avenue of, like, just saying his views, like, Huey's the same way for this show, I feel. Where it's just like, I don't want to get out jail free card, because he's a great character, and, like, it fits perfectly, but it's also, like, a way for the author to speak his mind.
Well, wait, granted, he goes through some, like over-the-top, fantastical, like, scenarios, but usually he's the voice of reason in whatever's going on around him. Like,
Right.
everyone else is losing their minds, going one way or the other, and he's just like, yo, wait up, you're all nuts. Like,
Y'all about to kill yourselves on this. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're gonna...
Yeah, they did it. They did it, yeah.
Goddamn dumbasses. I knew
They did it. So...
man, forget you, I'm out. Like,
Yeah, right. Like, one of my favorite parts of the whole show is when, they're having their N-word moment. And,
Yeah.
And right before, like, Granddad throws the punch, right before he's about to hit the blind old man in the face, it, like, stops. And it zooms in on the fist. And you just hear Huey. He's kind of been doing a monologue this whole time. He goes, you know, we could all be reading a book right now. And then right when he says it comes down, then it comes back, and he socks him, and everybody starts losing it. Like, yeah.
Like it's the blessing and the curse of self-awareness.
Right. Right. He's like, let me put that out there real quick. We could all be learning something, and we're not. Nobody's learning anything from this except that'd be retarded. So that's Huey. So who should we go over next?
Uncle Ruckus.
Uncle Ruckus.
He's the funniest.
Okay, I take it back. Riley's up in a zany one. Uncle Ruckus.
Uncle Ruckus is
he's like the Sheldon of the show.
And he does he's got like 50 jobs and shit. He just does everything. Like
It's true. Yeah, he has every episode, whatever they're in.
Something else.
He's
Something
always got
else.
some random fucking job.
Random job, yeah, where he's just.
But let's go down the list. We got theater. What? Usher.
Yep.
God, I should know that. I worked at it.
Right, you were an usher at one point. So was I.
We got Usher. We have police officer, albeit a temporary one.
He has. He was Santa Claus. He was
Santa Claus.
assistant / Santa Claus.
The janitor. He's done everything.
He was the chauffeur for Granddad when he was blind.
Yeah. Bus driver for the kids. Janitor at the hospital.
He's like that faceless he's not an authority figure, but he's part of the system.
Yeah, exactly.
In each one, yeah.
It's just, and his whole thing, his whole spiel is that he like idolizes like the Civil War era. So and the reason he does is because he loves the white man. And he's been basically brainwashed to think. Actually, did they ever explain his upbringing?
They do
kind of
later
do.
on.
Like, he had an abusive
He believes
dad.
he's white in a way, but you kind of know that
he wishes he was white, basically, and he associates all good things with like white people. And he's constantly like saying racial slurs against the Freemans and just everybody in the show.
You have to like come to terms with the fact that his character does not make sense.
No, it doesn't. It's
you have to move past it, and then that's really funny.
Right. You just basically accept that he will be everywhere. He's like the Team Rocket, but you're happy to see him again.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this should be
He's
good.
always gonna
Like, every time Team Rocket blasts off again, I'm like, when did they blast back? Why did they keep blasting back? Like, just blast off and be off for at least one episode.
We
Like,
beat them once. Why are they coming back?
They came back with rubber gloves. That's going to solve all the problems.
There's a doctor joke there somewhere, but I'm gonna.
So, but yeah, you basically accept Uncle Ruckus, and you grow to love him and when you see him in the episode, you're like, he would be like, he would be the movie Usher or whatever it is. Like, that's hilarious.
Always poised to ruin the plans.
Right?
of the
Yeah.
Freeman
He's
brothers.
been he was a religious.
Oh god.
Oh,
he was
yeah,
just
he's
like
a
Joel.
Yeah, he's a reverend.
For white heaven.
Yeah,
Oh,
for
my
white
God.
Jesus, for white
White
heaven.
Jesus.
And, oh man, the ending of that episode was so good when he was like, God, if any of the words have not been directly from you put into my mouth, he's like, strike me with lightning now. And he does, he gets struck by lightning right in that second. So everybody leaves because it just totally discredits him, and then it would have turned off the power because Huey's friend was about to face the chair.
Yeah.
And it shut off the power to save him. And then it was great, though, because the lightning bolt actually cured Uncle Ruckus's cancer. So I thought that was a great twist. And I wasn't expecting it to go down like that. So you got Uncle Ruckus. Obviously, we got Granddad.
Granddad Freeman.
Granddad Freeman's hilarious. He's...
He's a former Tuskegee Airman. He's been in every imaginable important moment
and then
for
forgotten.
black culture, but not actually important or famous, even though he's got photographic evidence, he's got the medal, yet he's not known for anything he's done. So he was
sitting next to Rosa Parks whenever she refused to move on the bus, but everyone just didn't care about him. Yeah, just overlooked him. And they arrested Rosa Parks, and he's like, wait, what are you doing? He's like, I was sitting right next to her. They're like, go home, sir. They just let him go. And then, yeah, he was a Tuskegee Airman. he knew Martin Luther King Jr. when he was in the Revolution.
I'm gonna say he's a caricature of the because I'm sure like for a lot of black youth, there's that grandpa who did march with Martin Luther King, has all the stories. He's that kind of like the black group of the greatest generation, that group of people, you know. Right. Like, I fought in World War I, I fought for my country, I was in the marches, yada, 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 and...
Like, they did a lot of great things, and they were much better... They were, like, the first generation of, like, many African Americans that made it, so to speak.
Yeah, like the bootstrap group.
But we weren't, like... They weren't, like, in the pop culture yet. We didn't have them there. You know what I mean? It just took a little bit of time for, you know, their culture and stuff to start, like, getting a hold.
And it's kind of cool that whole can-do attitude didn't get lost in a group of people who probably had every right to be jaded.
Right.
So, but that's a whole other discussion. But yeah, he's that caricature. He's got...
Well, yeah, because, I mean, they viewed it... Because, like, they were still down compared to, like, a lot of standards, but they saw the opportunity now. Like, they finally had the opportunity, like, the freedom, so to speak.
At least there was a light at the end of the tunnel now.
Right, yeah, and then that's why, and that made them give them hope, and then, you know, they worked hard. Like, that inspired them to work hard. They didn't, even though they still were in the negative, they didn't, like, view it as that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they viewed it as their opportunity, and they took advantage of it. So that's basically what Granddad Freeman did. And so, I mean, he's pretty much come to terms with it, but there's some times where it gets brought up and he's salty.
He's you know, back in my day, like, herbity.
I don't, that's Uncle Ruckus. That was a terrible Granddad impression. Like, he's pretty eloquent. He's pretty eloquent.
No, but then, like, you know, he does go off and, you know, when I was a Tuskegee Airman,
right,
you know, A, B, C, D. Does that sound a little more?
Yeah, you do. I don't know what that was Uncle Ruckus. Uncle Ruckus, that was a suitable impression for.
But you got to wonder if the author had a grandpa or an uncle who wouldn't shut up about the glory days.
Yeah,
and I think that's where
and he like had he doesn't really care about Riley.
No, he doesn't. He just
But like he's always like, get out of my way, boy. Like when they're trying to like bring something to his attention. And then the best part about Granddad though is his love for the cutie pies.
Bitches.
He's like, "What'd you call me, boy?" He's like, "No." He's like, "What I'm trying to say is you won't be getting so many bitches that's what they gonna call you." No disrespect. Of course. The best part about that episode though is that's what everybody starts to call him. Like the whole camera crew. Mr.
Bitches, your car is here.
Yeah. And they lose it when they see the car. And then Granddad's supposed to be blind, right? And they get the car from Exhibit that he pinned for him. And they're like, oh man, like that. And then Granddad's like, look at those wheels. How do they keep on spinning? Like,
thank you, Mr. Inhibit. Thank you so much.
Inhibit instead of Exhibit. So good. And then they're basically like, wait. That man's not blind. Yeah. And then they're just like, they finally realize, like, oh. Riley's like, come on, Granddad, let's take that for a spin right now. And then they both, like, stop and look back, and it's just silent. Oh, man, that was one of the best moments. I was dying, because that is the one thing about the show. I feel like a lot of the plots never go the way you kind of expect them to go.
No. It curve balls. Like, but you come to count on it.
Yeah.
Before you watch it.
Like, yeah, that's true. You know something's gonna happen. It's still like the lightning. I wouldn't have predicted.
Or
that.
the gas station scene. What the heck?
Oh
we can't
my
go there, though.
goodness.
We said new characters. Oh my
okay,
God.
yeah, no. Okay, here, let's go to those characters then. So, here we'll go to Ed Winkler, the second.
The third.
The dad though.
Oh, the dad's the second.
Yeah. So you have Ed Winkler second. Is he a politician or the mayor? What?
He's just rich.
He's a tycoon. He's that.
Typical.
He's stereotypical businessman.
Well, he's the
capitalist embodiment.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Oh yeah.
Scuzzy, kind of overweight, but it's always the same body type. They're big guys, but they're overweight, and they're scuzzy, and they're rich, and they're bald. It goes in that order.
Real particular trope that he's fulfilling.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's
the fist, the kingpin kind of guy.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, the voice actor, I should confirm this, but I'm about positive, if you want to IMDb it, the voice actor for Ed Winkler the second is J. Jonah Jameson from the Amazing Spider-Man from the 90s. and I might be wrong about that. If he's not J. Jonah Jameson, he's somebody from that era of cartoons. But he is the trope. The trope he's filling is like, it's a critique on capitalism.
Yeah, it's like capitalism at its worst, or most corrupt kind of.
Yeah, exactly, right. Where it's like, the profits overshadow any good that could come out of it, or it's all about greed, and exactly, it's kind of this.
Oh, he's Ed Winkler the first.
Oh, it is the
It
first.
is the first.
And
It's his granddad, huh?
and then Edward Asner. I need to find out.
Yeah, so just...
That's a silly last name.
Asler. That's like Sweeney. One of my favorite baseball players growing up was Mike Sweeney. And they'd be like, Mike Sweeney puts great wood on the ball.
Oh, Ed Asner has actually had a pretty storied career.
Dude, he's bald. He looks just
He
like
looks
him.
just like him.
It's so
He's the one. He's like
apparently he's Jewish.
He's like
makes
Scorsese,
sense.
where he's got gray hair but the darkest eyebrows imaginable.
Right. Where's his
Just IMDb him, homeboy.
career?
Mike, seriously, just go to IMDb. Mike,
It would take less time than what I'm doing right now.
I don't think so.
No, it would take less time.
It would take less time. Mike, you gotta.
No, he was not. He was not. He didn't do.
What's his name?
No, so he was Jameson for Spider-Man, and he was Hoggish Greedley on Planeteers. Hudson on Gargoyles. Jabba the Hutt on the radio version of Star Wars. He totally was every fat gangster and corrupt tycoon guy at any stage.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that guy's gotta die with a happy. Like, that's a great legacy.
He was even Daggett in Batman. Okay, we're done. That's it.
Whoa, Daggett was in Batman? The animated
Batman
series?
Yeah, Roland Daggett.
Oh, wow. Now I didn't realize Roland Daggett was from anything. I didn't know if Nolan made it up or what.
No, he's from the animated
Oh,
series.
so good. What episode?
He's the one with Clayface. He's the pharmaceutical company president.
Okay. Everybody go watch. Does it have the title of the episode?
Fear of Clay.
Fear of Clay.
Feet of Clay.
Feet of Clay from Batman the Animated Series. Go watch that right now. But
Dude, it even has Lucius Fox.
so good, dude.
What? I gotta click.
This is where Kevin Smith goes.
He's a character. Okay, we're keep going.
This is where Kevin Smith goes. Nolan didn't really invent anything. He just perfected everything. That's why I love Kevin Smith. I'm like, who cares whether he made it up or not? He made it pitch perfect.
You know, because every director up until this point didn't.
Right. It's like that. It's like that's what counts.
Well, since you didn't invent Batman, I feel like he had no.
Yeah, right.
There, so.
Cool. Big deal. Big deal. So what you made $2 billion off these movies. In theater sales alone.
Made comic book movies relevant again. No worries.
Right? Yeah, I mean, you don't really... Okay, another podcast. You don't really get Avengers without Dark Knight. So.
Oh, for sure not.
Yeah, so...
Disney doesn't make that purchase without... Never mind.
Right. Oh my goodness, that's a big web. We'll have to go into that. But that's another podcast. So, Ed Winkler the First, though, that's basically all there is to him.
Yeah,
he's just rich and...
really... Like you say... Riley has no ethics. Winkler is morally bankrupt. He has nothing. There's no goodness.
Riley at least loves his family, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
The best thing about Ed Winkler the First is honestly his grandson. So let's talk about Ed Winkler the Third, who is basically the stereotypical rich. What's the word I'm looking for?
Rich
Wankster
gets away with everything. Like,
I would say he
gangster version of Billy Madison.
It is.
I mean, honestly,
that's the perfect way to describe it.
He rebels against his like privileged youth, goes to fight in Iraq, and then comes back really messed up in the head.
Yeah.
So,
and he's obsessed with like guns.
I will say this right now: he's very, very politically offensive. He's not.
He's hilarious.
Not easily stomached if you're straight laced about this.
The thing that really makes this character, we didn't realize this till we were looking it up, but he is voiced by Charlie Murphy.
Charlie Murphy.
Hell yeah.
And like at first, I just thought it was a white guy doing a. Kind of like
Ebonics
accent, and then once I found Charlie Murphy, I was like, "No, that sounds exactly like Charlie Murphy." And it's so perfect. It's literally Charlie Murphy doing a Wankster accent. If that makes any sense, it's perfect. and Riley really looks up to Ed Winkler.
Yeah,
he loves him.
Yeah. Riley's always trying to go on excursions, so to speak.
Him
with-
going off about the women, and he's like, "Yo, man, they were like, I don't know, they like wore stuff over their faces, so I couldn't like see them. You know, like yeah, I went to Iraq thinking there'd be women, but you know, he uses a different word.
Right.
He's like, but no, man, they're like covered up and stuff, man. Like, just exudes like that typical stereotype of what the wealth of America must be, and that completely.
Right, because they don't actually know. Like, for him,
Out
where
of
he
touch
didn't
with
earn the money, he
reality.
doesn't actually know how the world works.
No.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he just takes advantage of it all.
Right.
Which
yeah,
is why he's the best character.
Right.
He doesn't care. Like, does
So,
whatever you want.
oh man, we'll combine these two characters. What is Ed Winkler III? Sam Jackson voices this character.
I don't remember.
What is his name?
I don't remember. Let me double check.
Yeah, look it up.
But yeah, so
Sam.
Sam Jackson plays Ed Winkler III's best friend, and they're always going on like heists together.
Bank heist, but they're so rich, they just get away with everything. And shit.
Yeah.
Like, they don't even have the police coming.
Gin Rummy.
What is it?
Oh, Gin Rummy.
Gin Rummy.
Gin Rummy. Okay, that's Sam Jackson voices Gin Rummy. No, Din. What is it?
It's
Gin.
Or it's Gin. Gin Rummy?
Gin Rummy. What a cool name. I didn't realize he had such a cool name. So he's Gin Rummy, and he's also white, and he's also a wankster, total, like, have no concept.
He's got like a samurai / sushi headband thing going on with the blonde.
Yeah, he's got blonde
Cornrows.
cornrows. Yeah.
Just as like, you know, he thinks he looks hard as a mother effer and like that, but everyone else is like, what are you doing?
You're
Why are
right.
you wearing
But
that?
then he pulls out a gun and puts it in your face, and you're like, okay, you're tough.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Like,
Where'd
they,
you get that AK? Oh my god.
they think they're like these hardened criminals, and I mean, they do crazy stuff that would get you killed, but the funny thing is, yeah, they're so rich and they have so much like influence throughout their, not them, but their families, that the cops never stop them. They just help them get away with it and try to minimize the damage, like try to just like get it, like, okay, you stole it, just go.
Get out of here. Insurance will pay for this. Let's
And
go.
you don't quite understand this dynamic. The first episode that you meet Ed Winkler III, he lets Riley shoot him with a shotgun because he has a bulletproof vest, and he wants to show it off to Riley. He's like, shoot me with that gun. And Riley's like, are you sure this is a good idea? He's like, just do it, man. He's like, okay. Like, of course Riley's going to do it. And Riley shoots him, and he flies through the window. And so you already have the sense.
Tight, man, that was tight. I'm good.
I'm good. He doesn't get up. He's just like, I'm fine. And then so you have the sense that he just is, well, nuts. But you
He's
don't
off
get the
his
whole
rocker.
dynamic until a couple episodes later they go to rob a liquor store. And,
this poor Arab man. Apparently not, though.
Yeah, this poor Arab man that they hold up. The cops come in and try to stop him, and then they basically go, he's a terrorist because he's Middle Eastern. And then he's like, do you see the gun? And then the cop's like, I don't see a gun. And then Sam Jackson keeps yelling at him. He's like, nah, look a little closer. Do you see the gun now? And then the cop's like, you're right, I can see the gun.
And then lo and behold, other Arabs come from out behind the counters.
Yeah, and then
like,
natural
opening
twist, the way the Boondocks twist, they were
a terrorist cell.
Yes.
Has a gun under the counter. Bang, 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 bang. So when they go to rob it, they go to rob the gas station and end up being heroes for stopping a terrorist.
That's right. Yeah, so they're heroes in the end, even though they were
Like, here, we're with Ed Winkler III and Gin Rummy, heroes of the day for stopping a splinter terror cell, even though being retired military veterans.
right. They were just trying to earn a living at that point.
In the background, you just see the guys, the terrorists getting shoved into a car going, what in the actual...
That's
just
where
happened.
That's where the terrorists, they're like, that was an unknown. Right? They
Like-
predicted that. That is one of the best monologues. Yeah, so like, picture Sam Jackson's character from Pulp Fiction. There's a lot of that character in Gin Rummy, because whenever they're driving like the heist or something, Sam Jackson just talks about whatever, and he's going on this monologue to Riley about how you can't know what you don't know. he's like, you don't know what you don't know. And he's like, we call that unknown unknowns. And so a couple episodes later, he has a retarded plan to steal Oprah. And his plan was to go through the back door because he figured they wouldn't put guards there, but it's Oprah. He's one of the most influential people in the world, so they have the guards there. And he goes, man, he's like, nobody could have known they'd have guards at the back door. That's an unknown unknown. And Riley's like, he's like, no, man. He's like, that ain't unknown. You're just bad at planning things.
Man, we were special operations in Afghanistan. y'all belong in the Special Olympics.
Right. That's one of the best parts.
And that brings us to Bushido Brown, the world's greatest black karate master.
AKA Oprah's bodyguard.
Yeah, he's a stereotype of that one character from Enter the Dragon, whose name does escape me.
Well, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's.
No, actually, a different.
Oh, there's.
Yeah, it's a different character. You know what? I'm gonna Google it real quick. Keep talking, everybody.
Man, we actually planned this episode out too, but we didn't think about some of these things. But we got Google.
Yeah.
We got Google. It's one of those things where you ever have, you'll be at work wherever, and you just kind of be in a conversation, and then you and somebody will be like, "Oh yeah, this thing, that thing," and be like, "Wait a minute, what about that?" And then you're like, "Ah."
Going off on all these tangents.
Right, you're just like, "Oh shucks, man, you're right. What
Too
was
many good
that?"
parts of the show, dog.
James Milton, Jim the Dragon Kelly.
That's who he's parodying.
Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly.
And this thing, he was actually a very, very big martial arts action star. He's the character who has the phrase in Enter the Dragon, "Man, you out of a comic book."
Okay. Which is what?
He's the caricature of that 70s blaxploitation black karate man.
Right.
Which
may or may not have existed.
Kind of. That's the thing. Like the Black Panther Party did kind of like assimilate, and that even you'll hear Lupe Fiasco talk about his dad and him going to a dojo. Like that was actually a part of the Black Panther, resist the power mythos and ethos of that movement. You needed to be able to fight, which meant you needed to have discipline for your anger, and that was the kind of bridge between a Japanese martial art to an African American kind of group of people. So that's that kind of like that. And then ironically, Hollywood took that and ran with it to use it as a cheap money-making gag, which then Bruce Lee parodied by actually making a good character. Yeah, it's a long story. Yeah. So yeah, he's a character of a caricature. And a good one. No actual backstory. He's just black and he does karate and he's a badass. So.
Right, and he's one of the few characters that whoops on Huey in the whole show. So
making chicken kung fu noises the whole time.
Right. So if we want to talk about B.A. Beginnings, the first time you see him, he whoops on Huey, and it's pretty sweet too.
He just walks out in that gi, he's like, "Man, you out of a comic book."
Yeah. Okay, that's funny. So yeah, I didn't get that line when I saw it, but good point to point that out. So I think let's go on now. There's a couple of recurring characters, minor to major characters in the show. And these recurring characters are the rappers that Riley idolizes. He frequently seeks out his favorite rappers when they're in a pinch and helps them.
Yeah.
For instance, when R. Kelly was going through some legal issues after the surfacing of his tape.
There are a few episodes of any show that so deeply parody everything involved with a real life situation. It just made fun of everyone involved.
Right.
From the people that were overreacting to the people like, "Let him go, his music's good." Wait, what?
Yeah, right.
Or the scene where R. Kelly's saying "Yeah, this is Richard Kelly," and he lists off his social security number on the phone.
Yep. And he holds up his ID and you can see his face on it. Or no, he looks into the camera. That's what it was. He's like, "Is this camera working right?" He puts his face right in it.
You just see the judge's eyes narrow very slowly, but yeah.
Right. And he meets R. Kelly. Exhibits wasn't too drawn out, but Exhibit pimps his ride with him and his granddad that we were referring to earlier. And then there's a couple made up rappers that really are the ones to remember, and that is Gangstalicious with the hit single Thuggin' Love. Every time they're on the radio, there's two songs that play. Thuggin' Love and Booty butt, cheeks. Booty butt, cheeks. That's the only two songs that ever play. Which is great because A, they're really stereotypical, and B,
that's the radio.
The radio, actually, yeah, that is the radio.
Fair comparison.
Right. Nobody can argue that. That's why it never gets old. No matter how many times you hear Thuggin' Love on that show, you still kind of chuckle to yourself every time you hear it. But yeah, that's Gangstalicious' hit single. Gangstalicious keeps getting shot, but non-lethally. As part of a gang rivalry, he keeps getting shot, but he somehow never dies.
Biggest pussy,
Yeah, he basically is a poser. He's not a true True gangsta.
Gangstalicious, you're not tall in your videos.
Oh yeah, he's a midget. It's great. He's barely taller than Riley, and he's like, "We're taller than you." And Riley's like, "I'm 8." And so basically, parodying all the multitudes of artists who sold out for a gangster image, just because back in the day when gangster rap was what sold records. A lot of people sold out that didn't have creds, that didn't
go through anything.
No,
Just
didn't struggle.
Hey, this music sounds cool. I can write it. It's easy.
Which honestly, you got it.
It was easy. Also,
if you think about it, that's the irony of you'll hear you get the scrawny skater rapper, and that's everybody's actual complaint now. Is they're not hard. It's like, well, he's not actually gangster rapping. He's just
I was gonna say. There's a couple people you think that, but really, Kanye helped pave the way for people that weren't hard. And it's funny because even Kanye on College Dropout, he was still a goofball in a lot of that album, but he still has references where he's like, I got my 9 and all that. Yeah. And he tries to act hard. And finally, around his second album, he got enough fame and had enough of a name for himself that he dropped that altogether.
Oh, yeah.
But, backpack rap really basically made it to where rappers could be themselves. Until now, you have people like Childish Gambino, who's a total nerd, and XV and other rappers that were talking about video games and stuff. So it's just kind of been cool to see that. But
yeah, it's a nice transformation because I think part of me, because I don't know about you guys, I didn't get into rap until college, and I didn't
get into it until high school.
To an extent, and part of it was I couldn't the first rap song I could actually relate to was Jesus Walks.
Right.
I kid you not. It's literally the first one I could
actually relate to.
Because the other ones are that seems like it's not
right.
my demographic.
Because back in the day it was nobody's demographic. I'm sure there were people that were hustling and stuff. I know, but for the most part
they were either deluded.
Hustlers don't make your record platinum. I'm sorry. It's the teenage kids that are gonna bug their parents with the money to go buy the record that makes you platinum.
Right.
So, and that's back in the day, all the rappers were playing a character. They weren't really playing themselves. You know what I mean? And so that's what Gangstalicious is parodying. He's a character, and so when Riley meets the actual Gangstalicious and the persona fades, Riley's kind of very disappointed to say the least.
Riley has a phrase.
Nigga, you gay?
Yeah.
Sorry, censored. That's one of his favorite catchphrases. It's probably not a good thing, but
it's well, but it's actually, if you think about it, it's a good mode for them to communicate how mainstream this kid is. He has not invested enough time and effort to find an adequate insult besides a homophobic slur.
Right. Because that's what he heard. He heard them talking like that.
That's the worst thing you can be, right? That's what MTV said, yo. So he's running with it. He's just sprinting with the baton.
Real recognizes real, granddad. And right now, you looking real unfamiliar. That's actually one of the better insults from the show. That's one of his
I love Randy.
Right. He's so lovable. He's so charming because he's a jerk and he's all these horrible stereotypes, but it's because of his innocence. He it's just who he looks up to, and he wants to be like them. He doesn't really understand.
Well, he takes society at face value.
Right.
And in a way, he actually does call people on their BS.
That's true. Yeah, no, Riley is real street smart. That's the fun thing about the difference between the two. Is Huey's, he's more, I wouldn't say he's a bookworm, but he's definitely a philosopher, real practical knowledge.
Let's say, when the problem doesn't require a complex solution, you just got to press A. Riley's okay. Press A. Huey's but what if they want us to? What if the man wants us to press A?
Right.
and then of course Huey's and we're just press the button.
You're right. Yeah, and that's what Riley does. He presses buttons. Every time he gets in an argument, he stretches things. So I know, in the episode where he wanted, and I think it was the Oprah episode, he wanted to go help Ed Winkler kidnap Oprah, and Huey was I'm not letting you go to Ed Winkler's, and they get in a fight, and Granddad breaks it up. He's like, Huey, what are you doing? And then Huey's he's trying to go to Ed Winkler's. He's they're going to be playing with guns and stuff. And then, I forget, somehow Riley basically says, what you got against the Bill of Rights, Huey? Because he talks about the right to bear. He's like, everyone has a right to bear arms.
Complete straw
He's like,
hat
you don't
argument.
like... Yeah, exactly. You don't like the Bill of Rights? Just, like, not relevant at all to what his point was. But he stretches it. And then I forget how, but at one point he's like, support the troops, Huey. Like, why are you hating on the troops? Because, you know, every American's like, don't hate on the troops.
But then Grandpa Freeman goes, well...
yeah. Right. Well, speak up, boy. You don't like the Bill of Rights? So I love watching that with Riley because he's not like.
Well, look on Huey's
smart.
face
He's
too
just
when he realizes he
manipulative.
lost.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like, okay, the hell with this. Fine, I'm gonna beat your ass.
Yeah. He looks at
back.
him. Right. He says, Riley, just no. I'm gonna beat your butt. It's gonna be vicious. So,
These will be the consequences.
So last character we have to cover. So is it their cousin? I thought it was their cousin, Dubois.
Nah, just their neighbor.
Just their neighbor? Okay, so yeah, they moved to a rich neighborhood. There's not a whole lot of black folk besides, for some reason, Uncle Ruckus. But their neighbor, his name is, what's his first name? Tom? Yeah, Thomas Dubois. And he's a lawyer, and he is the stereotypical white black dude.
Yeah,
The quote-unquote sellout.
Exactly.
He's not actually masculine. He's financially
Not in the
successful,
slightest.
very educated. He's that Bill Cosby
Yeah.
kind of. Although they do parody Bill Cosby in a very
Himself.
unflattering way.
Right.
I feel like that's a cheap shot that the majority of the black community like gets these days. Like, stop picking on Bill Cosby.
Dude, Bill Cosby is one of the greatest stand-up comics of all time. Hands
Noah.
down. And because he's a clean comic, that's why I really respect Bill Cosby, because
Even
he
George
was,
Carlin liked him, and that's hard. That's hard to do.
right, the most vulgar comedian of all time, like a clean comedian.
George Carlin doesn't like
He doesn't
children,
like
and he liked Bill
anybody,
Cosby.
yeah.
Okay,
Right.
Enough.
That's high praise. That's
Yeah.
the highest of praise right
Yeah.
there.
It's funny. I know George Carlin liked him.
yeah, they were actually very good friends into the late.
That's great.
Yeah.
I did not know that. But yeah, so Dubois is stereotypical sellout black dude who is basically white. And he basically every trope you could think of.
all of them.
He's pussy. He's got a white wife. She's sexy. for the
Apparently,
show.
yeah, they say.
And
Pretty sure they allude to the fact she basically just likes him because she has money through him. They can control him.
I think so. Exactly. Like, she controls everything. He's such a fucking. he's such a pussy.
Every single like disparaging. I mean, it has them all rolled up in one. Not only that, he's a district attorney.
Yeah, it's not just
So it's like, from that perspective of, okay, the law is always against black folk. He is the worst sellout. He is the Uncle Tom of the situation.
Right. And his biggest fear is
Prison.
dropping the soap
dropping
in
the soap in
prison.
prison. Yeah.
I don't want to go to prison. I'm going to get raped.
yeah. He has reoccurring nightmares about dropping
Like his wife
the
turns and goes, oh, is it the soap thing again?
soap. Something.
It's like, oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
whatever.
It's like, okay, and then he actually goes to prison. That was great. And so that's Dubois. His daughter, what's the daughter's name?
Can't remember.
Ironically, she's an interesting foil to Huey.
She's innocent. She's virtuistic. That's not the right word, but
Yeah, super innocent child.
ignorant. Yeah,
Ignorant,
naive.
but naive, like your typical.
If you think about it, she's the
Your
exact
typical
opposite of Riley.
innocent, nice kid.
Right.
She's the exact opposite of Riley.
Yeah.
Riley
Exactly.
is innocent and got exposed to that quote-unquote hood life.
Right.
Where she's, I mean, very obviously private school all the way up. PBS growing up. She's not watching MTV. That's not allowed.
Right.
Her dad's Thomas Dubois.
Yeah, you know, it's like, so, and then it's funny to watch
That has a
her.
lot of repercussions in your father's Thomas Dubois.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Well, when her and Riley interact, it's hilarious because they're completely opposite ends of the spectrum,
Right.
but they're on the same spectrum.
Right,
Yeah.
because they both have that innocence that they just are repeating back what they've been influenced over, and that's why a lot of the interaction that she goes through is with Huey in particular, because she's so innocent and Huey's so cynical that he always just wasn't it the Easter Bunny? She's saying something about the Easter Bunny. He's like, Easter Bunny ain't real. Like he just says it right to her face.
And that's like, she exacerbates him so badly. Like, he gets so frustrated, but he is drawn to her, and it pisses him off. It's great. Like,
Yeah, well, because he's like, I can help her. I can help her learn. Like I have a lot to teach her, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she doesn't have any clue, and she's not gonna learn from
And
her
she's
dad.
honestly one of the few characters that can actually like hurt his feelings, if you notice. Like Ruckus, Ruckus can't.
Yeah.
Even Riley has to work hard at it.
Yeah, Riley just frustrates him.
Granddad can't.
It's petty with Riley.
Yeah.
He doesn't actually hurt his feelings. He just bugs him.
But when she straight up tells him, like, go away, I don't want to be with you, he's like, fine. The only time you see Riley...
Just trying to help you.
Grumble,
Just trying to help you.
Grumble and mope away in another direction. The only time you see Huey do that.
Right. Just trying to help you, man.
Make that lemonade. I don't care.
So, yeah, that is basically all the characters that matter. I mean, there's a lot of great little side characters that come back. They get interspersed throughout the episodes, just little cameos and whatnot. So let's talk a little bit then about, the characters are what draws the appeal. It's fun to watch how they critique these popular culture phenomenons and racial sort of, what's what I'm looking for?
Well,
I want to say paradigm. That sounds pretty smart.
No, I'm saying it does take. It takes both perspectives on race at face value and shatters both of them.
Right.
To the people who claim that racism doesn't exist and that there is no, tide against minorities of any type at this point, it kicks that in the balls and says, no, calm down. That's and I say it addresses it as a human nature problem. It's not one particular ethnicity, it's who's got the cards at the moment.
Right.
But then it also goes to the side that's like, okay, well, everything's a struggle. And it parodies that too. It says,
right.
Okay, calm down. You getting an F on your test may not be because you're black.
Right.
Yeah,
no, so that's the great thing. Is it illustrates racism as like a human problem, not a white person problem.
Oh, yeah.
Like everyone in that show is pretty much racist at some point, just depending on the situation and where, like you said, who's holding the cards.
Well, you gotta wonder too, like whenever they take Reagan and they give a very unpleasant and disparaging demonstration of Reagan.
Yeah, I'm sure Kendrick Lamar loved the Ronald Reagan
episode
because he has a lot to say about Reagan.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's like how much of that does the author actually buy? Because granted, Reaganomics was not a fun time for anybody with a lower economic standing, of which included a great portion of African Americans. Yeah. That being said, I wonder how much of that the author actually buys. I mean, granted, he probably doesn't think that Reagan invented AIDS. Because as the bio major, I'm here to tell you, we didn't even know viruses could do stuff like that back then, let alone make them.
Right.
Whatever the Illuminati conspiracy theorists
That's
say.
like Uncle Ruckus. Yeah. White people are so smarty.
Yeah,
learn how to weaponize AIDS. It's like, no, you guys are giving us too much credit. Not even one of you were that smart back then.
You gotta realize that was his fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
Not even Asian people were that smart back then. Well, no, they probably had it. They probably just were waiting with it, let's be honest.
Well, it's one of those things where whenever any group of people has an agenda and they take bits and pieces of the information and run with it, it's actually a real problem now that we have the internet, because you have just enough info on Wikipedia to make a half-decent sounding argument for other lay people to run with.
Yeah, but the internet also spreads just as much misinformation, though.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's enough actual, like, there was one guy from the Nation of Islam going on a tirade about genetics and how black, like, I'm your father because I'm black and you're white. I'm like, not exactly. You don't understand how evolution works. It means we share a common ancestor. Which means our ancestor had a similar skin tone to you, but we're not, like, that's two different lines going out. And no, right. Yeah, it's a whole nother, like line of thought. It's like, a lot of these...
I would say... Mike, you could confirm. I was talking to my dad and my brother about this the other day. Basically about how, when the beginnings of man, like, there was the genetic potential for, like, everything, that all the traits that have sort of come to be, like, known through all the generations were, like, there in the first people, but they hadn't had the time to become adapted to like that.
They found specifically that the natural skin tone of the first Homo sapiens was probably closer to Africans. Mm-hmm. A mutation happened at some point. Because if you notice, you will get once in a while an albino African who has blonde hair and blue eyes and lighter skin depending on the gene code. So there's a benefit to having lighter skin in colder climates, which is why
they migrated there.
Well, not only that, the people who ended up migrating there survived better with lighter skin. Also, we interbred with the Neanderthals. we have Neanderthal immunity, which probably affected other stuff. I mean, evolution's not this like we for some reason we still teach it in classes as this line. It is not a line, not remotely.
Well,
It's a big net.
Like my point though is like all the genetics were available to like the first people, but they hadn't had the generations upon like reproduction to have the dominant genes slowly start to become dominant. So it's like back in like the day, I'm talking like first people. It's like you could have had a black kid and it could have been yours just because.
Let's say not necessarily. Like for instance, you'll find that like skin tone, melanin. It's ironic that we base so much of our relative identity off of skin tone because it's such a small portion of our gene code. Like it's like 30 or 40 genes, and I'm paraphrasing, but I'm sure there's
Please paraphrase.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know anything.
It's like 34 genes. It's not like your eye color where there's a few dozen. So it's codominance. You know, if you notice, Beyonce is pretty dark, but she's not that dark.
Right.
It's a combination thing. And that's why you'll have a white family who had a black person intermarry 3 generations ago. And then randomly a black kid pops up. Sometimes it's luck of the draw.
Right.
The most common theory is that originally darker skin was a byproduct of our ancestors evolving to be hairless. It was a melanin adaptation so that we didn't get skin cancer. Because chimps, or the ancestor that then spawned chimps, us, and bonobos, had hair. No cancer issues from the sun. Well, for some reason we decided, hey, no hair. Well, the melanin.
Some of the lucky ones decided that. Some of us, He-Men.
Yeah. But yeah, so and that's the thing. So that's what it's not. It's not as if there was any context or connotation with it. Dark skin. It was just that the people who had darker skin didn't get skin cancer as often, and eventually that took over. But then moved to a place where there's a lot more foliage, aka Europe or Asia. There's not as much of a savanna thing going on. You have additional, and then gene mutation. That's part of it, So that's kind of where that goes.
There's our biology tangent for the day.
Yeah, but I guess to wrap it all up and digress. People run with partial information for their causes purpose, and this show captures it so beautifully.
Right. And it's easy to do because it's not hard to fake something that looks believable. Like, it's not hard to write something that sounds good and that the person that doesn't research it will believe. Yeah. And so...
Vaccines, but that's a whole other deal.
Right. I wonder if that's not something maybe they have. I haven't seen all the episodes, but that sounds like a Huey thing. Talking about how the internet, like, how much people believe from stuff they read on the internet.
We got into a discussion not too long ago about him bringing up, like, high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
And it's like, sorry, we've dwelled on this long too enough, but no, more reason for you guys to check out the show. It is actually stimulating.
Right.
Oh,
there's a lot of good.
It's got a lot of mess. It's got a lot to it. There's a lot to it.
So there is a lot to it. So let's segue into a little bit about what is the lasting appeal of the show. Why do we think this is a good show forevermore? If it's on Netflix that long.
Right, one can only hope.
So why should somebody who maybe hasn't seen it or hasn't, like me, I'd seen a couple episodes but I didn't really watch it. Why could we recommend this to them?
It's got everything in it. I mean, it's a funny show. It's got its comedy, like you were saying. It's got its kind of slapstick thing going for it, where anybody can get into it and think it's funny and realize it. But like more than that, it's got a lot of deeper like messages. It's got a lot of like, especially in the first season, the earlier episodes, it's kind of attacking broad ideas and examining things in just different ways and just kind of taking different aspects or jumping on the side of some particular issue that most people wouldn't go to,
Right, like jumping on the side of the people that were like supporting R. Kelly's defense.
Yeah, exactly.
That's something I actually had considered before. That was a lot of fun.
Just exposing both sides of it, not just saying the one thing you're wrong, like I was comparing it to South Park, where it kind of attacks the political issues, but yeah, it goes on to both sides of it. It's more subtle.
Yes, it's a little bit more tasteful. Just a skosh.
But it does a heel face turn a lot faster and more abruptly than other shows. Honestly, it puts the audience in Huey's position where you're not happy with either side, and it's not necessarily making you happier for it.
That's a good point. Yeah,
It's not a particularly uplifting show, but it's not depressing at all.
Yeah, that's
it's
why
sobering.
That's why Huey is the author's voice, because he's who we relate to, because you're right. He's the one guy that looks at like Riley's side of things and doesn't like it. He looks on the white side of things, doesn't like what he sees. The manipulative Ed Winkler. Like he sees Ed Winkler right away for what he is. So yeah, it's kind of like cool that it really points out the flaws on both sides of any one thing that it's looking at, and that it makes you consider things that you hadn't considered
makes you
before.
think.
Well, and it's that dynamic where. Like, I love the R. Kelly episode's hilarious because Riley immediately assumes Huey's going to be on his side about R. Kelly.
Right.
And Huey's like, homie, he looks guilty. I don't know how to politely say this. And he's like, you a race traitor. Mind you, Huey has actually been fighting the cause against the man this whole time. So
right. He's like the leader of like 23 leftist organizations.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Leading them covertly from his computer desk. And so he looks at Riley and he's like, you're an idiot. Like, I don't know how to politely say this. Like,
right.
Like, really? I'm Uncle Tom? Right. Okay. It just goes from there.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like you said, it has the whole slapstick thing, and it has a lot of action, like a lot of intense kung fu.
It's a good hodgepodge.
Scenes.
Exactly. Yeah, they've just taken pieces from so many different genres.
Well, even the
and put
music
it
in
into
the
one.
end.
Right.
It's got that like urban. It's got the urban percussion and bass to like classical fugue.
Yeah.
Like or
Dum, dum, dum. Dum, dum, dum. Yeah.
it's just it's hard to like it, and it's cerebral.
Right.
You're not sure why, but you like it.
Oh, the music actually is one of my favorite aspects of the show. Other than I know they played Gold Digger for a montage, but they used it really well. Other than that, though, there's not been a whole lot of like really notable songs that they've used, but they have a lot of like kind of underground hip hop that they use. But it's actually good. Like they took their time to.
They're not being hipster about it. They're actually
Right.
taking, okay, you know what? We know you're listening to stuff on the radio. Here's something that's good, but you probably haven't heard.
But they're also not like make it a point. Like, it's just faintly in the background to where it's like normally you don't. Yeah, when you rewatch episodes are normally when you pick up on it actually.
Exactly.
Once you know the whole plot and everything, and you're just kind of looking for little things, then all of a sudden you're like, wait, was this beat playing the whole time in the background? This is sick. Yeah.
But it's one of the few shows like it's like this one, Venture Brothers, Adventure Time, and soon Rick and Morty. I mean Rick and Morty once it has enough.
Oh, there's been a lot of good music in Rick and Morty already. Yeah.
Where you can actually like go back and go, wait a minute. Like the music, you watch it and analyze it. The music, you'll watch it again and look at it from another character. Like the background characters are funny as hell when you watch them the second time because you're like, their reactions to this are great.
Right.
The character development is so perfect. They go so deep into each person's character, and they would act exactly how you would expect that type of person to act.
It really is.
Right.
It's minimalist, and it's sublime how they do it.
Right. Like Riley and Huey will talk to each other and like be teaching each other things, but like the music never swells up to this big dramatic moment. It's just sort of more like down to earth. Like Huey's like, dude, like you really think it would go that way? I mean, think about what you were doing. Like, just think real quick, and then Riley would be like, okay, you're right, and that's all it is. And it's a more subtle character development, and behind the backdrops of the ridiculous things that are going on in these episodes, it overshadows it a bit. So it's like it might not get like the credit, or people may not realize it for that. But yeah, it is subtle and effective in little ways with its character development.
Well, it's one of the few shows that I found that can swell up the crazy and then bring her right back down,
Right.
and then close out, and you're like, what? Wait.
Right.
What just happened?
Yeah, normally when it'll climax something ridiculous, and then usually cut back to Huey or something like that. Huey
By
getting
that
a
darn
little,
tree.
Yeah, by the tree, reflecting, and just like everyone's an idiot, basically.
But it's cool because every character is likable. I feel. I mean, there's a good side to every character.
Well, and you know what?
Even Ruckus, you grow to love.
Yeah, even Ruckus is funny. Like he's lovable because he's.
Well, I
kinda
mean,
ridiculous
later on
in
you
a
get to
way.
see his backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a lot of the lasting appeal is just that it's a lot more complex once you start watching it, then you see it appears on first sight. Anybody who watches the first episode and gets offended is only going to realize they're not going to realize the intention behind any of it. And
it wants to rip honestly, it wants to sock you in the gut. It's like initiation of Fight Club. You're going to get the snot kicked out of you. And then, you know what? I do think if you sit through it, even if you find the topics distasteful or uncomfortable, honestly, especially I'm going to say it, especially if you're Caucasian, because that was black culture is something I didn't have much connection with.
Right.
In childhood. I mean, Kevin can back me up. In the neighborhood we went up, and we were stereotypical suburban America. We just didn't. It's not like we didn't have black kids at school. We just didn't have.
It wasn't the dominant culture.
No, there was no quote unquote, and I'm using this as a middle class white kid, urban culture to really only what we saw on TV, which is a terrible introduction.
It's horrible. Yeah,
horrible.
Step Up. That's not urban culture.
No, I know. And so this show.
Where are all the drugs in Step Up? No, I'm just kidding. We won't go into that.
Oh, we saw them. You just weren't looking.
Yeah, right.
All the lights in the.
That's why they loved all the neon lights.
The lights in the back of the show were not actually there. Surprise!
Twist ending. Yeah.
But yeah, so this show really actually.
They weren't even dancing. They were actually all sitting in beanbag chairs.
Well, and this show actually let me connect with a couple of people who are not my friends more because it actually gave me a window into their perspective.
Yeah. Well, and I like it because it points. It makes the African community reflect too, and say, maybe this isn't a persecution right here. Like, let's look at this for what it is. That we need to be smarter, and I respect that. Like, it's not giving anybody a free pass. If
everybody is a douchebag, and we're calling you out on it.
Right, exactly, that's why I respect it. Honestly, it's like Kendrick Lamar, with his album "Good Kid, Mad City." He talks a lot of urban the struggle and friends he had that got shot, and it talks about the gangster lifestyle, stuff like that,
while not glorifying it.
But it never glorifies it. And it wants to make the people that listen to it that did glorify it or kind of looked up to it back in the day, reflect on that and be like, this is not the way to live.
I guarantee you have the line I'm talking about. What if the people after me could dream about being a doctor or a lawyer rather than a gangster?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's I think he said that at his concert. Actually, he basically was saying how. If little old me is what Kendrick, and he is little actually, he's only 5'4" or 5. I don't know. He might be taller than that, but he looks pretty short. At least on stage, he looks really short. He's basically saying his friends, they look at him coming from the hood and accomplishing his dreams, and for the first time in their life, his friends have no doubts that they can reach it too. So yeah, they're looking I can be more, and that's what he was saying. Was one of the most fulfilling things about it for him, and I thought that was cool. So it's the same thing with this show where it portrays a lot of the gangster rappers and the urban culture, but it's basically alluding to all the wrongs with it as well.
Yeah. Well, and the resounding message I found with Huey's character is that he is consumed with rage in the situation of the world, and you can't blame him. He sees what he sees. But he slowly learns that the only way you can change it is by not giving yourself over to the rage. You take it and you fuse it to fuel your endeavors. But you have to be, and positive is not the right word. I'm not talking pinko kami hippie crap. I'm talking, well, and that's the thing. They even in the
Kumbayas
and in the limited episode, it totally goes what y'all doing? It's we're protesting. It's you ain't gonna accomplish nothing. Maybe not, but we're here. That's not enough.
It'll happen below eventually.
Maybe even after we die, but we're in this together, right, guys?
White people,
Seattle brand
protesting. Yeah,
shots fired.
It was it was Occupy Wall Street style protesting.
Oh yeah. Well, depending. Occupy Oakland was not peaceful, but
Oakland and Mike.
I distinctly remember there being fire bombs involved with that one.
Right.
But the message to be kind of carried away is that go ahead, try to change the world for the better. But if you're going to be consumed by the same hatred that the people making the world a worse
you're
place,
better than them.
You're just perpetuating the cycle in a different direction.
Right.
So
Spike Lee. Sorry.
That's shots fired.
Major shots fired, but
that's a cannon.
I think justified. So let's then segue to our next topic. Same topic, but our next aspect of it. So we've been kind of thinking about it. A lot of cartoons lately have been getting their live movie adaptions. A lot of video games as well, in a similar vein.
Some of the shows are no business.
Oh,
I love me some Charlie Brown. Bad idea. Just throwing it out there.
Was there Charlie Brown?
Live action Charlie
No, I'm sorry.
Brown?
No, that's 3D. My bad. Different.
There's a 3D Charlie Brown? Really? Okay, I didn't know that. I think it would.
We're scraping the bottom of the barrel, folks. We have run out of ideas. The Smurfs and then Charlie
Oh,
Brown.
the Smurfs. Yes, I can't believe they made 2 of
No,
them.
you know what? That's technically a live action too. So this works.
Right.
I'm not just spitballing. All right, awesome.
No, Charlie Brown. I don't think they had a live action though.
Actually, you know what? Dare I say it?
Is there Chuck Brown? What?
A live action Charlie Brown done with the right kids, if done with that whimsical...
Hey, Dennis the Menace was surprisingly. I don't know. I actually haven't watched it since I was a kid.
So
So
it was
horrible.
It was surprisingly stomachable. It
Right.
was. But I mean, you have Scooby Doo, which was utter garbage.
Oh,
Not to
Scooby-Doo,
mention the
so
sequel. Ah.
Yeah, right.
You know someone's career has hit rock bottom when they're doing that crap.
Right.
Although there were a lot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer characters, or like, because Buffy herself, and then the guy who played like Oz, the werewolf, they're both in the Scooby Doo universe, which I find
Really?
humorous. What are some other ones?
Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball
Oh,
was
dear.
horrible.
That was,
Yeah.
we don't speak of
That was
That
was
was
Dragon Ball
so-
Z. Even I don't know what that was.
Chen Yao Fat's worst.
It was
moment.
nothing.
It was awful. Yeah, it was.
I don't know how you go from
retarded.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Badass to that.
Right. There's one of those things where it seemed to me like they didn't actually watch cartoon. Like anybody who writes a Dragon Ball Z live action movie needs to like they'll be an adult now, but they needed to grow up reading and watching that.
Well, you know, Hollywood's like, yo,
You
there'd
can't just
be
get a
so
kung
many
fu
fanboys
actor.
who come watch this. This would be great. And then they get some director.
I mean,
You
he's
know-
probably a great director, but he just doesn't like have that nostalgia with the property. Like you know, they probably didn't grow up
Well,
living and breathing Dragon Ball Z.
He tried to like make it. I don't even know, like 90s chic. Is what they were trying to do, like that, like oh, we're all hardcore and gritty. It's like you missed the entire point.
Right.
All
It needs
of
to
it
be as
gone.
over the top as possible.
Here's the target, and here's the giant hole you left in the barn. Flex to the left, like you missed, man. Yeah.
Nah, come on, they didn't hit the broadside of the barn. Quit giving them.
It's
It's high praise, Mike.
How
No.
dare
And then the one, the who shall not be named, Avatar: Last Airbender. Let's just end it there. That was one of the worst adaptions of anything ever.
Well, I'm gonna puke now. Give me a second.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, y'all. We think if one cartoon could be transferred to the big screen,
It is the
And do
Boondocks,
well.
y'all.
and
it's the
relatable
Boondocks.
to everybody. Like,
Right. And yeah, not just be a funny movie or whatever, but actually be a well acted, like, movie with a message.
something
Let's say,
anybody could watch from a kid.
Real
to a
dialogue,
freaking
actual
adult.
drama. You could act. I mean, and you have deep concepts intermixed with slapstick slash. I mean, because that's the thing. Any real deep comedy has to have some stupidity.
Right.
It's like it's a smidgen, it's a smattering, it's a
Right.
smudging.
Literally, like 90% of comedy is parodying our own stupidity.
Yeah.
Somebody's stupidity. It's cool if you're
Yeah.
self-deprecating and parodying your own, like Brian Regan, but, you know, some people... Tosh. I mean, he parodied himself a lot, too, but it's pointing out somebody's stupidity is a lot of comedy.
Exactly.
Well, see, and that's where
What
like
is it?
the beauty about how Boondocks does it is that they take characters that aren't actually representatives of real people. They take caricatures and they put them through these situations.
Right.
So you're not actually going, like, that's the thing. If you sit there and you're like, oh, this author must think white people this, or this author must think black people this, you're missing the point.
Mm-hmm.
You are not getting it. And that's actually where a lot of authors try and maybe fail or struggle to get to. But it's like to communicate these complex, by nature biased systems, you got to be able to pierce reality and go into fake. You know, you got to bring in the construct.
By the way, real quick disclaimer as long as we're off topic. Season 4, Aaron Magruder, the creator and writer of every episode from the first few seasons, he's not actually a part of it.
So the next season may or may not. We'll see.
It could be awesome. Maybe whoever did take over for the writing. Ethan, you looked into it, right? Why did you find out why he left?
I read it was just done.
From my understanding, from everything I read, it sounded like he got kicked off of the show because of production conflicts or some BS
AKA the show's probably
thing like
going
that.
mainstream.
I just say that makes me worried that this
But
season...
he is coming out with Black Jesus, The Adventures of Black Jesus. We can all look forward to that show.
That's gonna be great because it was Huey's play. Like, that's great that he actually
He is coming out
wrote
with
something for that.
and
That's
it's still
so
on
fun.
Adult Swim. I mean, he has obviously nothing against Adult Swim or anything like that. He didn't seem to have any hard feelings against the.
So who the creative team behind the show, though, obviously had a disagreement.
Yeah, that's
So-
what I take it as, and he probably walked away.
So watch the new season. It comes
hey,
out next
what if-
week with
what
a
if
grain of
Lucas-
salt. It could be great.
Could
What
be
if
good,
Lucas
could
had-
be awful.
Huh?
What if Lucas had walked away? Although I hate to compare this man to Lucas, but depending on so sometimes art does take a life of its own. So I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. We'll get a shot.
Yeah, maybe the new director or creator, whatever, understands the characters
Right,
and
he
knows
gets what he's going
grew
for.
up with it or has been watching it and actually understands. Yeah, he might, or maybe it's gonna be an awful.
Somebody
series
gets a job
season.
for that and that is getting paid.
Yeah.
We will keep you posted. But
Keep yourselves posted. Go watch the new
Yeah, just
season.
watch it.
You
Comes
tell
out
us
on
what
the
you
21st.
think. Yeah. So, but the original point, we feel the Boondocks could be a good live action adaptation.
and who could carry this book?
Yeah, I
Who
say the
could
one
possibly
reason,
do
the
it?
biggest reason we think that this could be a great live action adaptation is because we know the man to do it.
Because there is one man.
There's
to do
one-
it.
the unpredictable, the incomparable, the foot
The
loving,
unfathomable
the foot fetish Barrick.
Foot fetish.
Quentin's Tarantino's
Quentin Tarantino.
Totino himself. And now, clearly, we love Tarantino since we've already done a whole podcast, two podcasts about
In
him.
case the 5 hours of
Yeah, we talked
content
about 5
did not
hours.
Tell you.
But before you write us off as merciless fanboys, think about it. I mean,
That was
you
kind
don't even
of the
have to
point,
think about
though,
it,
wasn't it? Of this whole
Right.
Kind of,
Yeah, we should. Even if it was completely off the wall, we should be allowed to voice this opinion. But we think that it's very much on that broad side of that barn.
It is valid.
And we will lay it out for you here, but just real quick, just think about why Tarantino would perfectly handle the Boondocks. Right off the top of the bat, first thing I think about is the kung fu elements of the show. Yeah, Bushido Brown and Huey, who frequently uses a katana.
Check.
Yeah, oh yeah, so many extreme close-ups happen in this show.
Unwanted and necessarily
Slow-mo.
unnecessary violence.
Check.
Yep.
Completely subtle and yet unfathomably deep content with caricature-like characters
Yeah.
in unideal situations in which everyone's acting normal. Mega check.
Yeah,
Right.
character development between any Tarantino movie and the Boondocks is the same.
It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
same.
It's
You're
the
right.
same
It's the
character
same
development.
subtle thing. Like Kill Bill, that movie is so over the top that you
So
think
crazy.
some people are done with it by the time that Bill and Beatrix meet face to face at the end and talk. But there's so much
Oh,
good
yeah.
character development that's so subtle, and so much of the story is actually explained.
But it is overwhelming.
right.
Like
So
that's, you
once
could
you've
actually
seen the
split it up
geysers of
into three.
blood, though, you might have written it off already because you're not into that kind of thing. And that's the same thing with the Boondocks. Like, some of the more racially charged stuff might turn some people off to where they miss some of the more slapstick elements and the little things that develop these characters that, you know, they are caricatures, but they are true to
Well,
themselves.
I wonder how many people
People deserve to
watched
get
it.
written off.
You know what? That's another tangent we can't go on.
So, yeah, the Kung Fu, he'd have it nailed. And there's so many standoffs in the Boondocks where they're, like, looking at each other.
Not
and
to mention,
they're-
he's proven he is not afraid to wade into the black experience.
Right.
Danger
He
for
is,
white directors.
acquainted with the N-word, let's just say.
He's gone toe to toe with Spike Lee twice now, so let's just let's just have at it. He doesn't
Right.
care.
Right. Spike Lee would boycott this movie and pay people to boycott it. I will pay
I'm
you to
pretty
boycott
sure
this movie.
A line in the Boondocks. That
You know what?
says
Okay,
that
quick
he's-
disclaimer.
and
I've
Spike
seen
Lee
very
was
little, if
disappointed.
none, of Spike Lee's material. I've just heard angry rants about him from Fox News from my younger days, so I guess I can't really go after him.
Well, my problem with Spike Lee is not so much his work, other than he thinks it's his role to, like, be this vocal person, even though he hasn't been relevant in a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of his films are more in the 90s and stuff, so it's just one of those things where, like, he needs to accept that his time has kind of came and went, in my opinion. And that he is not on the forefront. He's not cutting edge anymore. Sorry,
So he's
Spike
pulling
Lee.
at Jesse Jackson.
Oh, yeah, no.
I'm shooting even more shots now.
Sorry,
Okay.
but yeah, no, he is pulling Jesse Jackson.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I had to put it out there.
Yo, there's actually a YouTube cast. Just type in Jesse Jackson is not the voice for black people, because there's a radio host from New York that goes on this tirade like, people need to stop asking me
Like, people need to stop assuming Jesse Jackson speaks for us. We are not an organized community.
Jesse
of
Jackson
black
speaks
people.
for his wallet. That's all I'll say on that.
Right. I was like,
But the more subtle character development stuff, that is so Tarantino. And the dialogue, you know, one of the great holes in this scheme that we realized, you know, Sam Jackson's character, what was his name? Gin Riggs? Gin
or Gin Riggs.
Gin Riggs and Ed Winkler III. When I first started thinking about Tarantino directing a live-action Boondocks, I said, boom, he's got Sam Jackson and Vincent Vega. I forget, what was Sam Jackson's name in Pulp Fiction? Did he have one?
Yeah, he did. I can't remember.
But yeah, basically I was like, oh man, he has his Vincent Vega and his Sam Jackson. Like that, those two characters always have the most like ridiculous situations where they're talking about normal stuff, but they're like giving insight. Like, you ever think about this? What do they call a Big Mac in France? Like, I've always wanted to know. Like, I've never thought about that. But that's a good point. Like, it's that kind of banter between the two of them. So, you know, we thought, boom, Sam Jackson's in the bag. And then we started thinking about
There's one problem!
The one problem is that a huge crux of these characters is the fact that they're white.
and not only white, pasty white.
Yeah,
even
pasty
compared to other
white.
characters.
And so Sam Jackson can voice one when it's being animated, but he can't play one.
Yeah.
Although we have a role for him and we have a solution.
So yeah, so we have half of a solution. So, you know, Tarantino needs those two characters in any Boondocks that he would do because he needs that banter. So the characters still have to be there, even though it is disappointing that we can't get Charlie Murphy and Sam Jackson to voice them. But we figured a good replacement for Ed Winkler III, since Winkler is already kind of parodying him in a way.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a strict parody, but it pulls elements. Is a buffed up Eminem would make a great...
Would be so fair. And we already know he can act.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
A smattering of creatine, maybe some HGH and whey protein.
Right,
Oh,
but the thing about it, I think Eminem has shown signs that he can act, and then like Tarantino knows how to get the most out of his people that he works with.
And you know, Eminem has had to deal with so many impressions of himself that he could totally slip into.
Honestly,
Oh,
yeah.
he would love
honestly,
it, right?
the Ed Winkler's character is Charlie Murphy doing an Eminem impression.
Yeah, you know what? I wonder if we can ever get him on record saying that.
Yeah,
I can
right.
verify. I have a feeling.
So yeah, let's just let the real Eminem play Ed Winkler.
And Eminem is hilarious. He is a
He's got that
individual.
zany off the
Right,
wall.
that's true. You were just telling me this the other day, Ethan, about his skits.
His skits and all of his like albums, even his songs individually.
He's definitely racist.
So many that are they're hilarious. Yeah, he doesn't give a
He doesn't
crap
care
about race.
No.
Like, he's the blackest white person I can think of.
He's pretty hard. Like he's kind of sold out now, but that's after 20 years.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
But that's a joke. Like, that's him actually coming to the end of the line thinking, hey, maybe I should not be abusing these hard drugs anymore. Maybe.
Yeah, right. He finally grew up to his, like, I know people who don't respect that, but I'm like, come on, give him some slack. He is a kid.
Oh, boo-hoo. He's gonna hate your opinion from his, like, $100 million house.
Right.
Boo-hoo-hoo.
So that's why it's only
Living
half
in a
a
house with an elevator. Shit.
It's only half a solution. We have a great Ed Winkler III, but we can't think of a good Gin Remy.
Jamie Kennedy is a joke thought of. Dear God, no.
Yeah, no Jimmy Kennedy. He's not relevant anymore.
Or do I think that he could ever play a hard ass?
What about Channing Tatum? No, I'm just totally
no cornrows. No.
yeah, right. Channing Tatum corner. He has blonde hair though in that new
as much as
Jupiter
honestly,
Rising movie.
Paul Walker might have been a okay one.
Come on, too soon, bro.
I know.
Fair enough, though.
I mean, that's an actual, like...
You said it for a point, yeah. You're not just trying to stop
Rip.
people. I actually hate all of the Fast Furious movies, so I don't care. But it is too soon for a lot of people. But respectfully, he would make a good Gin Remy, though.
I'm legit thinking that. I'm not just like, yeah, so...
And he pulls off that Wigger vibe anyways.
Intentionally or not, he can.
Right. So, those two characters... Oh man, Tarantino would write such good dialogue for them and write crazy scenarios. Them holding up the diner in Pulp Fiction.
Oh my god, it's basically the same thing as.
Oh, you know what? Okay, we're taking a little too much credit. Honestly, one of the things that helped us think of this scenario, do you guys remember? It was the episode where Sam Jackson's Gin Remy is quoting Pulp Fiction.
He was.
Oh,
that's one of the things I forgot about that.
Did they speak what? Did they speak English in what?
Yeah. Yes, we are taking a lot of credit. That's actually one of the scenes that helped us even realize it's like, oh my goodness, it's Tarantino.
That's when Kevin looks at me and goes, "That's Samuel L. Jackson." I'm like,
Right, yeah, I wasn't quite sure. And then
You're
he-
right.
That is so funny. I never clicked before that there was
Yes.
Samuel L. Jackson playing
English,
Samuel L.
bro.
Jackson.
Do you speak it?
Do they speak English and what?
Yeah. So there you go. So you gotta have those two characters since they're basically an homage to Tarantino already in a way. A slight way.
We've got our work cut out for us as far as Granddad.
No, we don't. Granddad's one of the easier ones, remember?
That's what I'm saying. We have our work cut out for. I'm sorry. Well, the choice is clear for Granddad.
There you
Okay.
go.
Sorry.
The work got cut out already for us with Granddad because Granddad, big thriller here. We're just gonna let the voice actor that plays Granddad play Granddad.
Just give us your glasses.
Yeah.
I forget he's been in a lot of. I want as much as I hate to say Tyler Perry-esque style of comedy, but his voice is so perfect for Granddad, and because we can't use Riley and Huey are both voiced by a woman, Regina King. If you guys don't know this,
By the
we
way,
can't use her.
Funny as hell to watch her voice both characters because she gets into it.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Clips of her.
It's
speaking
great.
on the microphone is But she, as much as she embodies them, and it does an amazing job on the show. Unfortunately, she's a middle-aged woman. She couldn't play them.
She has no Y chromosome and she's too tall. Let's be honest.
And she can't be two people at the same. Well, with movie magic, she could be, but it'd be cheesy. So, we got our work cut out for us for the twins, though. Right off the bat,
I thought Huey was the older. Riley's the younger.
The twins. I don't know why I just called them twins. I was calling.
No worries.
I was calling people last week in The Walking Dead cast twins, and they weren't twins. And now that they're not twins, I'm calling them twins again.
Siblings.
Yeah, the siblings. Sorry, we have our work cut out for us. For
I think
siblings.
I think we can safely set Jaden Smith as Huey.
Right.
A younger.
And that's going to
karate-
cause some controversy, but just think about it once again.
Well, that's the thing. Now that he's older, he's going to be a little more articulate.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, Karate Kid Jaden looked exactly like
Riley, right, but that's 4 years ago now.
Well, but even then, I mean, that Jaden Smith was still too old to be. Even if we're going to time skip it, I feel like.
Wait, to be Riley?
No, to be Riley. Yeah, because Riley's
I thought we were going to age him up a bit, though, for the live adaptation. Remember?
No, okay, so
Because otherwise, Jaden Smith, how could he be Huey? Huey's only like 2 years older.
Well, no,
than
yeah,
Riley.
but yeah. How far are they apart? Are they only a year? Like 2 years?
Yeah. I think Riley's 8 and Huey was like 11 or something like that. 2 or 3
Okay,
years.
yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Not exact.
I think we could age him up a bit in the live action.
Yeah.
I think
actually,
that because the thing is, when it's a cartoon, a kid saying that is going to be one thing, especially because it's voiced by an adult, Regina King. But when it comes to a child actor, it might not resonate. Like they're going to read the line,
But they're not going to.
It's not going to work very well.
they can't get the line to really fluctuate and like emphasize the right parts.
Well, and you could actually, if you could get a kind of like middle preteen, middle of childhood kind of kid to play Riley, it'd be interesting to see him have an actual crisis of identity. Like, he's finally old enough to where, you know what, he didn't come into sentience quite. Okay, I'm being saying really elitist.
That sentience is also, I know what you're trying to
But
say.
it's like,
But
no,
that was
but
rude,
I mean,
Mike.
every
You
kid-
trying to say black people are sentient,
No,
Mike?
children are not
Sorry, I was
sentient.
pulling my Riley.
Yeah, the children are not sentient. But no, so like, self-awareness. Sorry,
Right.
sentience is not the word.
Self-aware. Yeah.
So he comes into it a lot later than
Huey.
which is proof that I'm not making this a race thing. Huey came into it a lot
Nice
earlier.
cover, Mike. Way to smooth that one over.
Right, that
Thank you,
was
Mike.
wasn't obvious at all. Huey came into it a lot earlier, a lot younger. He's smarter. And so, but now, Riley's actually smart enough to, like, question stuff. And so it's like, okay, I've built my entire life on this ideal, and it's bullshit.
Well, yeah, there's a couple ways. I don't know. Obviously, we leave this Tarantino. He gets to write it in our scenario here.
Right.
But I don't know if he kind of want to just play the Boondocks for the same beats as the cartoon, or if he'd want to do, like, a continuation story. If he did decide to age up the Huey and Riley a bit. But, I'd almost just enjoy seeing a fully fledged Riley, like totally innocent, naive, overly influenced Riley in the movie. But yeah, if they could go through it where he starts to question it, that'd be cool. Yeah, kind of like understanding. Oh wait, I understand what I'm being influenced means.
So here's the real question: how do we? So we all know who we want to be Uncle Ruckus. We know. Come on, I mean, after Django. Django.
Right.
After the Unchainment of Django by Steven.
Dechained.
The man who played Steven would make a very, very good.
Well,
Uncle
the way
Ruckus.
I was thinking about it is Steven from Django is basically Granddad and Ruckus
combined.
anyways.
I mean, because you have that proper. I mean, because this is the thing. Granddad is, for all. I mean, aside from all of his quirkiness,
Right. He's straight laced though.
he is. You know, he wears good old fashioned clothes. He was the straight laced officer in the Tuskegee Airmen.
Right.
You know, he's like, you know, his persona as a young
Well,
man.
because, you know, one of the parts that kind of shows you that, I love in the basketball episode where Riley, he's so good at dribbling, but he can't shoot. And Granddad basically looks at him and he's like, boy, it's because you don't practice. And then he's like, I was proud watching you out there today, boy. Like, it was kind of fun seeing Granddad not be such a ridiculous old perv. And be kind of more like...
or the abusive cliche
right.
black grandfather with the belt.
It's like, it's fun to watch Granddad actually be sort of straight-laced and logical at the end and give Riley some support. For instead of just beating him, instead of reinforcing things physically.
Yeah, that's a running trope. If you're not comfortable with cartoon children getting beat with a belt, don't.
Because basically,
Don't do it.
you know, take the Samuel L. Jackson that says, "Why is that nigga up on that nay?" Like, take that Sam Jackson and remove the part where Steven is like telling Calvin the whole jig. Remove that part and just go with the ridiculous, over-the-top racist Steven.
And that is Ruckus.
And that's Ruckus. So I think, and plus we gotta have Sam Jackson. He can't be getting rummy, although I wish, but he needs to be in the movie. Plus the Tarantino movie, it's gotta have Sam Jackson.
Well, and you know he'd own this. Oh my God, he would roll with it because he would just
He'd be like, put the prosthetics on me, make me fat, make me have the weird mustache.
give me the weird eye.
Oh yeah.
Eye. Let's say he'd look at the script and go, "Oh no way!"
Right. He'd be like,
Oh, man.
finally, the role I
Give
was
me
waiting
like
for.
10 minutes to laugh my ass off at this, and then I'll be able to say it with a straight face.
Right.
Like, I imagine that's what he... Like, I'm sure for Django, he's like... He just, like, looks at the lines, looks back at Tarantino, looks at the lines, and goes, "You're kidding, right?" You want to say this? Okay.
He's like, wait, I'm getting paid to say this? This is sweet. That's probably what he'd say. It sure beats a Capital One commercial.
What's in your
Shots
wallet?
fired. Sam Jackson, you don't need that money. Come on, give it to some. There's struggling actors that could have been doing that Capital One commercial.
It's like, man, I earned my time. I can't do them action scenes no more. That's what I do for
Come on, Sam Jackson. Quit acting like you don't already own a cloaked flying air brigade ship. Before we die, I think Sam Jackson will own his very own aircraft carrier
with an eye
from
patch.
Shield. Okay, he'll probably wear the eye patch too, just because for cachet. So we have Jaden Smith as Huey, which I like. I think he could play the more somber, like reflective.
As much as everyone wants to jump on After Earth as being a terrible...
A case in point why he's too bad actor.
It wasn't his fault.
M. Night Shyamalan, that's all.
The man we shall not say.
Yeah, he who shall not be named.
A crippled orphan just died because you said that name.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, the prophecy has been fulfilled now because of me. But that's M. Night Shyamalan's fault. We can...
Another!
Sorry, M. Night Shyamalan, ding dong. You can't fear it, you just gotta go search through it and move on.
We're sorry, orphan.
We thought for a while we couldn't think of a good Riley. And so the solution I had for this is let's just let Tarantino cast an unknown for this one and find his Riley. Because you think about, when we had Kimo on for the Tarantino cast, we went about this for plenty long enough, but the daughter, little BB, in Kill Bill Volume 2, that actress, she's been a couple things, but she's never really been relevant again since, and I had never seen her in anything before that. That might have been her first gig.
She's earned another shot. That was, if that's what she can do when she's like, what, 7?
You're right. Yeah,
that's great.
So, and she was unknown though. Like Tarantino just found her and somehow coaxed the perfect performance.
Sounds like he found her in a dumpster and like whisked her away to acting. Like
she's a prom night dumpster baby. Tarantino.
I found her and made her what she is.
Oh goodness, that's not where I was going with that, guys. Come on, don't you put those words in my mouth, Ricky Bobby. But let's just let him cast somebody and give this kid a break and let Tarantino work with him and see what happens. I think there's no way he disappoints there. I think he'd do a lot better than us trying to pick some celebrity and throw him in.
Was it? And so we have another character that actually has got a couple of other options. So for Bushido Brown,
yes,
we've got 2 people,
2 options here.
Now Kev's option, which is valid.
My option I think is valid, but it is equal parts valid and equal parts fanboy. So, Ethan, we'll let you decide on this one. I was thinking, for Bushido Brown, ripped up African American dude, middle aged, rocks a wicked sweet beard and an afro. I'm just saying, reminds me a little bit of Django Unchained, Jamie Foxx. So, I think Mike will let us know why he doesn't think that's necessarily optimal. He didn't say it was bad. Yeah. And it's fair, but I do think that Bushido Brown's so straight laced. Like when he talks, like he's over the top when he's fighting, but when he's just walking, and he's like,
he's Stone Cold Killer.
Yeah, he's a Stone Cold Killer. He's like, man, you must be out of a comic book. And I just picture Jamie Foxx at the end of Django, and he's like, Steven, you've seen a lot of N-words come through here, huh? Maybe 8,000, maybe 9,000. Maybe 9,999. Like, I just picture that.
But I am the one.
Yeah, right. Like, he can mess with you, but he's still, like, really subtle about it.
He still plays it straight.
And so, Mike, voice your
My optimal one is a man by the name of Michael Jai White. Now, martial arts fans will recognize him from Undisputed series and from, he plays a character from the Mortal Kombat series. An actual karate practitioner. So that's a plus.
Right.
But, and this, I didn't even think of this before, but then when I went to do some homework, he is Black Dynamite. Which already is the character.
He basically is Bushido Brown.
He's Bushido Brown, but with some more backstory to him.
Right.
So I'm like,
and a worse name. Bushido Brown's a clever name. Black Dynamite's kind of a little over.
Although to be fair, they were intentionally trying.
I know. It's a parody.
It's a parody of blaxploitation.
Right. It was shot in what, 2009 you said?
Yeah.
But it was like meant to look like it was 70s and all that.
It's like, I remember back in Nam, the little Vietnamese kid with his legs blown off going, why Black Dynamite? Why? It's so corny, but so epic. Yeah. Honestly, I actually watched Black Dynamite around the same time that kids in high school got me to watch Boondocks. So, fun little fact.
Looking at this, I just realized, so we chalked up the Tarantino, we just gave Tarantino cop out because the best we could do for Riley was 12 years ago, Lil Bow Wow.
I was thinking Lil Bow Wow, dog. It's funny you said that. I was thinking Lil Bow Wow.
I wrote that down and I was like, man, that's not even scientifically feasible.
Wasn't there a Little Romeo too? Like, how many Lils were there?
Yeah.
Little Bow Wow.
Little Bow Wow was in a couple of things, though, wasn't he? And he looks exactly like Riley.
And like Mike.
I mean, look like,
That's
like Mike. That's what that was
it. But that doesn't count. He's Bow Wow now. He's not Lil.
He's not Lil. He's Big Bow Wow.
He's Big Old Bow Wow. So that's the best we can do for Riley. Okay. One here that we had. This one, some people are going to love this one, some people are going to hate this one. Ethan, you let them know.
Are we doing, oh, hell yeah.
Right.
Mr. Dubois there. Mr. Thomas Dubois. The funniest, craziest, I don't know, crazy-ass guy, lawyer, whatever. Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
Come on now. Look at him
high-pitched voice, no offense, my dude.
Oh, it's so perfect. So over the top. You look at Rush Hour 1, 2, or 3.
What you talking about? He's got, like, picture the whole monologue where Dubois is talking about how he doesn't want to go to prison, and then imagine Chris Tucker talking about dropping the soap. And picture the dream where Dubois was in the shower, and he drops the soap, and then the black dude walks up behind him, he's like, I see you dropped the soap. Like, picture Chris Tucker's facial expressions in that scene.
Like, ah!
Yeah. His eyes would get all big, like, and it would be like, hell no. Like, that's just, I don't know. He'd have to tone it down, I think, a skosh.
Yeah.
Well, he'd have to tone it down until the crazy parts.
Right.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, if you think about it, that's the irony of Dubois' character. Dubois' character is actually probably one of the most physically imposing characters in the series, and yet he's a total pushover. And Chris Tucker can play that.
Well, this is it could seem extraneous, but one thing I realized, Chris Tucker hasn't been in a whole lot of movies lately. I recently saw him though in an interview with Sway, and he's actually gotten a lot more involved with his faith, and he's really he's changed a lot. He's not your stereotypical movie celebrity. And so I think you'd actually like playing Dubois because he mentioned kind of he doesn't like playing characters where he smokes weed every day, kind of like in Friday. Like he's basically said I couldn't play that character again with where I'm at now. So I mean, this is a little
Dubois will actually
extraneous,
kind
but
of have.
I think Dubois would cater to the sensibilities he's trying to go for right now. To the point where he's like, oh yeah, no, I'll definitely support a Black Boondocks movie, but I don't want to be the one making the racial claims, and he's
like, I'm not gonna be saying the N-word. I'm not gonna be doing drugs. I'm not shooting people.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if that helps convince anybody, but when I thought about that, I was like, Chris Tucker would be perfect for doing that.
Serious. It sounds even better now. I didn't even know who it is.
Yeah, right. I just remembered that. I was watching a bunch of Sway interviews the other day, so. Who's on the Boondocks? They parodied Sway on the
You don't got the answers, Sway.
Yeah, he had the answers back in 04, 05, okay?
Right.
That was before he lost them. He washed the note that had the answers.
When Kanye got to the office, he took the answers. That's why Sway didn't have them, okay? It was all a plot.
Kanye just took all the answers and tore them up and just said, no right answers for anybody.
Made eye contact and put them in his pocket.
You're right. So, last one we have on here. Oh, I can't take this, Ethan. This is 100% your idea.
Oh, alright. For Mr. Ed Wensler, the first. Well, I was saying, I've been watching my Netflix lately a little bit. Kevin Spacey.
This can only be going one way.
Yeah, right.
Kevin Spacey.
When you say Netflix, Kevin Spacey, we know.
For Ed Wensler. He is he's been around forever. Great actor. I mean,
and this is an excuse for him to gain some weight.
House of Cards. Yes.
Have some cheesy puffs, man.
Oh, no. What's the restaurant? The barbecue restaurant?
Oh, Joe's or whatever.
Yeah.
He can frequent that
just
place.
go there.
He can frequent it, yeah. More so, he doesn't have to hide it from his wife.
Just tell his wife, I'm not working out. I got to roll.
Yeah, right. This is me working out, babe.
No more walking for him.
Gotta walk the walk if I'm gonna talk that talk.
So that rowing machine's gonna gather some dust.
I know what it is. He does the row machine, but every time he contracts
There's
it back,
spoon!
there's like a burrito or
Haagen-Dazs.
something he's eating. But he has that slimy, literally he has no morals in House of Cards.
Yeah, he can kind of play his House of Cards character, more business, obviously.
Right. More of a caricature than his House of Cards character, but the same, basis.
I would actually argue
Exactly,
that at least Underwood has a grasp of morals. Like, he considers
He can manipulate morals.
And what's the thing? So it's like, you may think this is a bad idea, and it probably is. It's probably not right, but this is the only option I have.
Right.
Whereas once was just like, money.
Yeah, right. He's Mr. Krabs for the show,
He's
basically.
Mr. Krabs.
I mean, he's J. Jonah Jameson and Mr. Krabs put into one character.
Oh, dear.
Exactly, but I feel like...
Dude, he played every fat, bald kingpin character in animation.
Right, the voice actor, right.
That is so...
Sorry, the actor that played.
Right.
The actor that voiced Wensler.
Ed Wensler first was Kingpin? No. But he does that gruff voice thing kind of like he could
Yeah,
you to work.
Bring me Spider-Man's hat. Oh wait, I'm just a newspaper director. How would I have this authority?
Right.
Exactly.
Why do I have a SWAT team at my disposal? Right. Sorry, you're gonna need more than a SWAT team. Shut up.
The one plot hole. Get him! Why are we taking orders from you?
Right. It's true. Yeah, he always is somehow at the scene first, and then he'll point, get him, and the SWAT team goes in. It's like, wait, no, they're not listening to J. Jonah Jameson.
I'm friends with a mayor. Yeah, and I'm friends with, that dude over there. Doesn't mean I get free hot dogs.
SWAT team's just like, will you stop yelling if we do it? Okay, shut up. We're going in. Stop. We're going to catch him. Probably not, but
Sergeant, we're going to get our asses kicked again. It's Spider-Man.
I can't listen to another word of his
Preferable to Jameson.
Yeah, right. Spider-Man less than Jameson right now. Just go.
At least it's over quickly.
So, oh man, is there anybody we're forgetting any characters?
Not for
like
the
major
batch.
characters, that we need to cast.
Not for the first season.
The only thing I was thinking of was Dubois' kid. What's her
little
name?
girl, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember her name right now.
There's always some precocious little girl.
But again, I was thinking there's a lot of decent.
We just gotta find whatever girl inherited Raymond
actors out
Simone's
there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or
so we need 30 years ago
unknown.
Raymond Simone from The Cosby Show. Come on, guys. We don't have that.
That's harsh.
We don't have that time is money, money back, time machine guarantee. Okay. That comes in the
or
future.
Or do we?
What?
We just play the recording from the beginning.
This was not a 3-hour podcast. But yeah, there's just so many things that Tarantino does well that the show does well.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like they kind of. It's almost like if I watched that show, I would believe it if somebody put Tarantino's name at the end.
Yeah,
I believe it.
If he was like a producer or something,
Yeah.
I would be like, that makes a
I'd
lot
be like,
of sense.
oh wow, yeah, all right, that makes sense. Like,
Has enough compelling gravity to it, to where you're like, okay, that sounded like completely trite and cliche,
Right.
but it's got an like you're gonna think, okay, where's this going?
Right. So it's just one of those things where Tarantino popped in our heads, but then the more we thought about it, the more it was justified. And so, if you guys think of a better, a director more capable naturally, like not.
Please let us know.
Because the thing is, we don't want, because so many times I feel that you get a good director like J.J. Abrams on Star Wars. J.J. Abrams is a great director, but I think he's going to have to stretch to fit expectations in. Like, there's certain things that Star Wars does that are going to have to be in it that he's going to have to ham in. There's certain things that Boondocks is going to do. Tarantino's already does them all.
they both already. And what other director does that kind of in movies, especially like maybe TV shows and shit?
It's like that custom.
Well, on that note, one of the things, my points I was making is like, there's been a couple different. He hasn't written a whole lot of movies, but there's been a couple different movies that Tarantino has written that have just been horrible. And it's because nobody can direct his material but him, because he understands the subtle nuance to it.
Yeah.
Like, he writes all the zany stuff, and that's what these other directors key in on, where it's like, that stuff comes natural to him, and he just can focus on the subtle character development. And so, I think that,
well, he maintains the fluidity of his message, whilst making all of this
ridiculous.
completely insane chaos happen around him, but you still hold on to the rope, and you're like, where is this going? I don't know.
right. I'm still compelled.
And then with the other directors, they're like, oh, zany, and you let go of the rope.
Like, I'm done.
Well, it's like, have you ever been on like that like bouncy tube at the back of a speedboat? It is great as long as you can hold on. Right. It sucks once you let go. It comes to an abrupt halt.
Yeah, rarely if you wipe out pretty hard on an air tube, rarely are you like, let's get another run in, baby. You're just like, all right, that was cool. I got my sinuses are destroyed because I just inhaled copious amounts of water.
I think I swallowed a bass. Someone get me a ginger ale.
I think I swallowed a bass. A bass swallowed me briefly. I'm over this. Like,
I have seaweed in my toenails. We're out. We're gone. That's it. That's all we got.
Yeah, it's that same thing with these movies, like Natural Born Killers, a couple other ones, where in anything Robert Rodriguez directed that Tarantino helped write. Once you let go of that rope, you're just like looking at your watch, like, come on, like, all right, my money's worth whatever. They tried at least. Like, you're never pissed. You're like, they tried, but no. So I feel like it's one of the same things where it's like, I don't know who could handle the Boondocks other than him. With like,
however, if you have an alternate, please share.
Yeah, no, please share, because our word is not God's word by any means. Like, we're just spitballing. We've done a whole lot of rationalization. I'm sure somebody could allude to that to justify our pick, so to speak. But
I'm gonna laugh one of these days when somebody does just shut us down.
Thank goodness we don't have like actual listeners, because that's when the trolls come into the comments section and destroy you.
But see, a troll, we would be like, okay, you're a troll. The worst thing is...
What happens when Huey Freeman gets online and sees our podcast?
You see, the soul is merely just a portal to, and then ... and you're like, oh my, this kid just destroyed us. I mean, all I can say is, well done, Click.
You're right.
I got nothing.
We're just going to have to let that circulate and try to run damage control later.
right.
The word is up on our podcast. We're frauds. But where were we going before that? We all just blanked.
I think
Lerp.
Blurp. Oh yeah, no. One thing is, if Boondocks isn't the cartoon to become a live movie adaptation, what is? There's gotta be
that's a good question.
a cartoon out there.
Doug.
Shia LaBeouf is Doug. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Part of me just died.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry. No, Topher Grace is Doug. Doug's actually not a bad one.
There's a black hole where my soul used to be, thanks to Kevin.
I'm sorry. The thing is with Doug, you don't have the over-the-top action to worry about.
Quail Man!
See, but that's why I like this show, is it's got just a little bit of everything. I mean, and anybody can watch, anybody can relate to it.
Right.
They just gotta sit
You're
there.
right. Rarely, like, not everyone's like, that's the greatest show ever. That's not my jam. But I have yet to actually be like, anybody who goes, I asked him, you watch Boondocks? So, yeah. Like, it's not their favorite show, but like, yeah, like, I enjoy the Boondocks. Like, everybody enjoys the Boondocks.
Well, it's like getting into some, like,
hates it or dislikes it.
So I'm sorry, I totally interrupted you.
No, I was just making that comment.
It's like getting into a hot tub. Except the heat is the overtly racist and pretty vulgar language. But if you can get past that, you can get
The
used
initial
to the water,
shock, right?
you're
Once
like,
you're
"Oh,
acclimated.
this is nice.
And then
you gotta quit.
You
after
got that
half an hour.
spot. You got that spot between acclimation and pruniness. Eventually, you'll get pruny, and you go elsewhere. But you could watch about a dozen episodes in a row and just love every one of them. We've watched about the whole season, and I still am ready for more. So,
and war shall arrive.
So if this could become an internet phenomenon, and I'm sure more capable people could take this and elaborate on all all the casting and like the plot parallels that Tarantino could do and make this a phenomenon. But if this could somehow inspire Tarantino directing it, it would be worth it.
Oh, very much.
You know what? Like if I don't even want the credit, I just want to watch the product. You know what I mean? I will not be hipster about that.
Oh no, I will not be the guy going.
I will not be the Robert Freeman. I was on the bus when Rosebud. I started the Tarantino for
This
Boondocks
metal
movement.
bravery has my name on it.
This certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes is because of me. No, that's a movie I want to watch.
That is a movie.
Okay, we
kill
turn
somebody to
into
watch.
the guy whose hamburger got bitten by Bill Murray. At that point,
Wasn't that Mike? Was it Nolan? We said Nolan Avatar. Like as weird as that sounds, could work. Who was it? There's we were saying the same thing for Avatar a while back.
Yeah.
We might have to do a Nolan for Avatar. I'm sure there might be better directors that we could.
That gets me. That gets me just.
That gets you juiced up, doesn't
It
it?
does, man.
We just gave Mike a little bump.
Oh man.
The only drug Mike does is called fanboyness.
It's flowing through my cerebral cortex right now, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what? If you guys if we can get some feedback for once on this episode, unless it's negative, and then I'll regret complain. You sometimes if you get what you need, you get what you ask for.
Friends of mine, you know who you are.
Right. If you guys enjoy this, let us know because I would love to do this for Avatar.
Oh yeah.
We haven't had our Avatar cast yet, and we are that's my favorite cartoon.
That's
of
a
all time.
zit that needs to be popped. As gruesome a saying as that is,
right?
Needs to get over.
And it's one of those things that's only satisfying for the people that popped it. If it's your zit, it's satisfying. If it's anybody else's zit, it's gross. No, I'm just kidding. So
unless you have a sick obsession with zits, and then by all means enjoy.
No, I'm just kidding. Let's not make that parallel because I think a lot of people would enjoy an Avatar cast, right?
Yeah.
Hear me out. So if we get positive feedback on Tarantino for Boondocks, maybe we'll do one for Avatar. I would love that. I know I would.
That'd be cool.
But you know what? We want to make this half for us, half for the peoples. Like the Coen brothers. One for us, one for them. So
if you guys see the face I'm making right now, you'd laugh, but you can't.
Mike's like, it's a stretch. It works, but just quit rambling. So I will do just that. Do we have anything else to add? We got to go watch more Boondocks, so we should wrap this up.
I'm cool with that.
Like, share, link, subscribe.
Ethman Jones.
Shaman.
Muchas gracias.
Somewhere along the line, Ethan became Ethman. Thank you for being on the cast this week, brother. Thanks for getting us hooked.
Thank you, brother Ethan.
Oh, always. Anybody that can get hooked on the Boondocks is
You're like a
good
drug
karma
dealer, man.
for me. Yo. Good karma for me.
Right, exactly. You did your good deed for the day, Ethan. Hopefully, this will inspire either people to go watch it again or to go check it out if they haven't.
Always
check it
worth
out.
rewatching.
Always
straight
worth
up,
another
like,
visit.
Yeah, it's just as good watching it through.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Ethan, you'll be kind of you'll quote a line as it's happening and then bust up genuinely just as much as the first time. That's what's kind of funny for me to watch. I'm like, he knows this part, and he's still busting up at it. So it's definitely worth rewatching. So that'll wrap it up for this week.
Sayonara.
Mike, say it again. Say it again. Like,
subscribe, share.
one more time. If you say it 3 times, they can't forget.
Like, subscribe, share, comment.
And with that, we're gonna sign off with the hip hop ambience. Doom, doom, doom.
I'm stoned with the
I am the visual, the inspiration that made ladies sing the blues. I'm the spark that makes your idea bright. The same spark that lights the dark so that you can know your left from your right. I am the ballad in your box, the bullet in the gun, the inner glow that let you know to call your brother son. The story that just begun, the promise of what's to come. And I'ma remain a soldier till the war is won.